No, it's like the morning after the night before in here. This morning I left my boots there. I didn't dare go near the house with that stuff on. Right, let's have a tidy up. There you go, that's what's come off my shoes. It'd gone rock hard, it was really difficult to get off. Right, the bulk of the dirt is off that now. Before I start putting anything on it to seal it, I've got a couple of little jobs to do. One is this wire, well, all of these wires, tidy them up so that everything doesn't come disconnected when I go over a bump. I've still got the back of that wheel to sort out. And then down in here out, I've got this lot, just clean this up, and that's looking good on those flexi pipes there. I'm sure that'll just clean up, and that will save me having to drain the brakes down again until I know exactly what's wrong. So let's get on with it. been a funny old day. I'll start here with the red wire, which now goes. It's clipped across there. Come back to that bit. It's cable clipped here. It's along there. There. And then it disappears off up to the servo at the engine. While I'm here, one of the things that slowed me down today is we're at the front end here now, and I found a hole in the chassis there, so I've had to take everything off, weld a bit on there, and there we are at the back. There's the red wire, and I've tidied all those wires up out of the way. The chassis still looks terrible. I've sprayed the petrol tank just for the sake of cosmetics. Well, I've spent the last couple of hours just going round it, getting everything I can from different directions with that grinder. Things are sort of shiny-ish. This top bit here, I have cleaned, you can see I've cleaned those braces, most of it off, but I'm not cleaning that back to the paint. So that lot is going to get just sprayed with matte black. And that'll be the end of that. Well, it's been a long day. I've had enough now. I'm going to go in and wash my face. Ugh, and my ears. Now I'm going to reinstate the original air cleaner, air filter onto this. But once I've fitted it in there, it's going to be hard to get at the spark plugs, and I'd like to put new spark plugs in it. So let's have a look at them. Now, if you're changing your plugs as part of your normal servicing, your old ones should look something like this. That means that's just fine, really. It's nice and dry in the middle. You can see the pink on there. This black around the outside is just a build-up of coke, and that's okay. What they shouldn't look like is this. This is from a vehicle that is running too rich. So the engine's not getting hot enough, and so it's not burning off this coke and fuel and stuff off the inside. It's all black, and I'm expecting that the plugs on this Land Rover are going to look something like that. So let's have a look. Now, usually when you take your new plugs out of the box, the gap is where it should be. But if you just want to check it, an old mechanic showed me this years ago, and you haven't got a feeler gauge, then a hacksaw blade will get you just about where you want to be. Oh, Gordon Bennett. Yep, they didn't disappoint. That one's loose. Here we go again. Right, sooty. Now, over tightening your spark plugs can turn into a very expensive mistake. They have a crush washer on here, just there. So what you do is you wind them in finger tight, and then you give them a quarter to a half turn, and then that's it. Now this one's not fitting properly onto the plug, it's wobbling about. I'll just get my pliers and go in there and just, you can see it's been bent outwards. Just bend it in a little bit and make sure we get a nice snug fit on there. That's it, it's lovely. So if you take your spark plugs out and they don't look like this, they look like this, then you've got an overfueling problem and you need to find it and sort it out. By the time this video's gone out, I did find the problem and I did sort it out. And there's a whole video there dedicated to that where I remove, refurbish and replace the carburettor. Right, this whole thing's been sat on the shelf for years, so I'm just going to pull it apart and check the oil and make sure there's no dead birds or anything inside here. These things, I think they're brilliant. So you don't have to buy new paper filters or anything for them. All you have to do is take them apart every now and then. If it's really grimy inside, wash the wire out with petrol and clean the bottom bowl out of any dust and grime that's in there. And there you go. So you've got, this is your filter. The air comes down through here into this oil bath, so it has to come through that oil. Any big bits drop and stick in there, and the air then comes back up through this gauze, which is a little bit damp with the oil, and therefore all the dust and rubbish sticks to it. So all you've got to do is every now and then take that thing out, wash it through with petrol, blow it through with a bit of compressed air, and then tip this out, clean the gunge out of the bottom of it. You can see there's a fair bit in there. It's been doing its job, look at that. And then you top it back up, and the oil level is quite simple to know where the oil level is. All of these have got a ridge on the bottom of them, and that ridge is the level that you fill the oil to. You can sort of see it on the inside there. That's the level you go to. Simple as that. So I've just blown this through with an airline and dragged a duster through it. I've taken the oil out of there and you can see all the gunge in that. That's been doing its job. All I've got to do now, clean that out with a bit of petrol, top it back up with oil, and we're good to go. Keep an eye on the bottom right hand side of the base. Oh, blooming heck. Looks like it's got a leak in it. Yup, it's definitely got a leak in it. Right, back to the warehouse. Right, so another go. Right, that looks good. Carl Surflance asked me, why have I got a filter sticking out of that bit of pipe there? And the reason is because that is a vacuum breather pipe. So I'll start at the beginning. This here is the predecessor of the EGR valve. Here's your rocker cover, and as the valves go up and down, a little bit of exhaust gas gets emitted, gets blown out. So this allows that pressure to vent out. In the early days it just had gauze in it, and if there was any oil involved it used to just run out over your rocker cover. So somebody then came up with a cunning plan to put a spout on it, and then what we did was we put a piece of rubber hose on that spout, dropped it down the side of the engine, and then any smoke or oil that was coming out would be nicely deposited on the road. Until the Americans invented emissions, and then they said you're not allowed to do that anymore. That gas and oil and unburnt fuel has got to go back into the engine and be reburnt. And so what it does is it's piped down here and it enters the inlet manifold after the carburettor. It's dirty air, you don't want it going through your carburettor. Now as the carburettor goes flat out and is sucking more air, it could potentially start sucking the gases out of the rocker cover. So what you need is a breather pipe to balance that out, and that is exactly what this is. So what I'm going to do now is connect this little piece of tube, which fortuitously looks to be exactly the thing that was designed for this. I just found it in the bottom of my box, and connect that to there. So the air can now balance out. But if this then sucks air into the system, it doesn't suck it from here, it sucks it through the air filter, and that's what that's for. The nut's missing off here, but I can nick one of them later. This will do for now. Now, one of the benefits of this system is that it makes the engine quieter. But as I've only got half an exhaust, I'm not sure I'm going to get the benefit. But let's have a go anyway. Yeah, I can't hear the engine at all. Right, now I've got a running nicely. I want to get that exhaust put back on so I can see how quiet the engine is. Now this part of the chassis here, I painted that bit there, it's looking quite nice. I need to sort this out before I can put the exhaust back on. So I've been all the way around this back end of the chassis now, rubbing, scrubbing, wire brushing, and the only bit of actual rust that I found is here on this outrigger. And that's nothing. So what am I going to put on this chassis? Well, there's been talk of the old-fashioned methods. It's linseed oil, paraffin, mix it 50-50. The trouble with this is that now that 2 litre bottle of linseed oil is £18 and 4 litres of paraffin is £9, so that's quite expensive to use, but it still has its uses and I use it, and we'll see about that later in a future video. Now, I don't really like any kind of on the surface coatings. I've had too many project vehicles with nice matte black painted underneaths, and then as soon as you start scraping that off, it's gone rusty behind it. The other thing is that stuff, if you need to weld anything, you've got to try and get it off before you can start welding, because it catches fire and stuff like that. So I really don't like any of those coatings. Now, if I was going to paint the chassis, well, in that situation, you want to rub it down to bare metal, primer it, undercoat it, and then paint it, spray it, whatever. And that's just not going to happen here on this one.
So my preferred method on all of my vehicles is one of these on the compressor with used engine oil in here. So this little nozzle is brilliant. You can get in all of these nooks and crannies, all kinds of places. Somebody was talking about how theirs had rotted away on the top because the mud and things had got in there. It's also, because it's compressed air, it's blowing, so it's blowing some of the dirt and dust off as you're doing it. So the other thing is, you know when it needs doing again because your chassis is starting to show rust. So that is my preferred method. However, the downside of that is that your Land Rover usually drips oil off the chassis for about 2 weeks afterwards. So you can't park on your mother-in-law's blocked paved drive or anything like that. You just got to be careful what you do. And as I intend to take this vehicle for an MOT as soon as I can, I don't really want to take it all soaked in oil. They'll wonder what's going on. So what I am going to do is I'm going to give it a quick cosmetic blast with this acrylic spray paint. It doesn't last. If I just spray this straight over the rust, it'll look great immediately, but it won't be long before that rust will start, the spots will start showing through. So, but that's my quick cosmetic answer, and that's what I'm going to do today.
So we'll have a quick before shot there, like that, because I'm dying to get that exhaust on to see how this engine sounds. Bit round there, bit round there. See you in a minute when I've done it. And so there we go. That'll do. I've got to go round and mask off some bits. I don't want to get it all over those things. I have to mask them off, but so like that. Take about 10 minutes. There you go. Job done. Let's get the exhaust on. Be careful, I don't want to scratch my paintwork. Right. Right, looks like there's a couple of little jobs to do here. I'll probably cut that off because I suspect it's in the wrong location. And then the bolts are still in there. One is, and that other one, I've noticed there's a loose nut and bolt there. I'll have to change that. The others are tight. And then round this side, I've got to take these bits that are still left on here. This one, the head's off it, but that piece is just absolutely welded itself to there. Now I think I've got to clean up the inside of this, get a wire brush in there. I've already done that one. Get some gun gum in there. And then there's a bracket that goes on there that holds it up at that point. Oh, and there's another bracket just there in the dark that comes down to where these two join up. So let's get on with it. So what I'm doing now is giving myself some temporary hangings. Right, so I've reclaimed these bits, but I'm still short of this one. That's the correct one for there because it's on an angle.
So I'll bolt that one's on, that's fine. That goes with that. Let's see if I can get these to work around the other side. Right then, been routing and found some things I might be able to use. A nice shiny new one of them. I haven't got that part though. I've got one of them. Oh, not quite. What's the difference between a 10-minute job and a 3-hour job? One rusted bolt. It is absolutely welded in there. Right, I've got a plan, but first of all I'm just going to clean up the inside of this one. Okay, I'm going to loosely bolt this together now while I put the whilst I hang the exhaust up onto the brackets. I'm leaving that naughty one down there where I can get to it, and then what I'll probably do is at the end when I bolt this up, clamp that really tight and tack weld it. So let's get it hanging up there first so we can see what we're dealing with. Right, this one's a bit tricky. I've got to sort of find where the level is that it needs to go up to. It seems to be too far over this way, so I've got to move that other bracket that I just put on. It's banging on the side of the chassis down. That'll do. I'm nearly at level. Right, that's the one I've just put on. That silencer looks fairly level now. It's hanging on there. That's going to be tricky because it's hitting the pipe here is on an angle like that to the bracket. Thanks very much. And then as we come along to this third one where this nasty joint is, you can see there that one's pretty close to there. So in fact, I think that just needs something like a bracket like that to just go straight onto there. So I'll have to make one of those, I think. This is going to be the tricky one. Right. Okay. Right, so this is the one. You can see the bracket is right there. So something like that I've reclaimed would probably do. I don't know if this is, it looks a bit small this. Let's try it. I'll just
open it up a bit. Oh, go on, baby. Yeah, I thought it's a little bit small, but I might be able to customise it. Oh, okay. It wants to pull that forwards. If I can get a big long bolt in there just to give me a head start. Let's try this one. Ooh. Alright, it's through. Is it gonna go anywhere near that? That's the problem. Will that pull up? I wonder if I straighten those ends out. What I'm going to try and do is take these kinks out, straighten that way, and see if that makes it a little bit longer. Good old anvil. Right, let's try it. Has it made any difference? Doesn't look like it has. Might be better if I put it that way. I dread to think what's happening that other end up by the manifold. That exhaust must have worked itself loose by now. I haven't looked at it. It may even probably have broken off. I could be trying to fix a piece of exhaust here that's not attached at the other end. Right. Oh, come on. Okay. I don't think it's going to work. It's just too short, that bracket's too small for the pipe, and that won't push up anymore. Unless I can get it to go down the side of there. Oh! I win! Right. It just leaves this one now. So I found a proper piece of rubber, might be long enough, and then this salvaged bracket. Are they going to reach anywhere near? Right. So then I need something to go round. I'll have to make a bracket to go round it. Right. So I've got that fit joined together. I've got that to go on the front. Let's put that in. So that's that. Now I've just got to get something that will bolt through there, wrap around here and bolt through there. Right, I just found some of this stuff. See if that'll bend round there, because I can attach it. I can get it to attach to the top, and then I can put another bolt through there, and that'll clamp it tight. Let's have a go at that. Right, what I've got to try and do now is separate these two again so I can get some gun gum in the joints before I bolt them up. So, unfortunately means I've got to take this one off again, which didn't want to go on in the first place. Okay, I'll tighten all the hangers up now, and then we know exactly what position that's going to land in, and then I can finish off and tighten that up. And try and get this one back in. There you go, it's not pretty, but it'll last for about as long as this exhaust is going to. That is rock solid, I can't budge it there. Lovely. On the back. Oh, yep. Safe as houses. Let's drop it down and start it. Whoops, I nearly forgot this one. Right, let's drop it down, get it started. Right then, let's try it. Battery connected this time. Here we go, bit of choke. Oh my, that is so quiet. Well, there we go. I've still got the choke out a little bit. That is just so quiet. A little rattle here somewhere. Find that. I expected it might be blowing at the manifold after all that messing about, but it's not. No, it doesn't sound like it's blowing out of there. A little bit of smoke there, but it could be just steam off that gun. But anyway, you know what they say, no smoke, no pump. Well, it's been running for about 10 minutes and I was just about to go in and I've noticed this, and then I've had a look underneath and I believe it's a crank oil seal, I think. Oh well, that's going to be an education. I've never done one of them. And then I've just noticed now still got a bit more to do yet. See you next time.